And there we go. No, we just... There we go. You may take the reins.
Oh, I may I?
I mean, yeah. May. Alright, it's time to finish solving this murder. Wouldn't it be the twist if we actually were the killer all along, and we were just stringing our friend along?
That's why we didn't want him to accept the things. We actually did
Yeah.
it. We actually did it.
Cosmo? I'm sorry, Rihanna CK. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? 1 second.
You still go. Just hang up a bit, because...
I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat, while the strong eat.
What?
You were wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice.
The weak are meat?
Yes. And the strong eat. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty on a crime that I didn't commit?
Welcome to the Japanese justice system.
And Kazuma.
Don't worry, it's not much better in the US.
His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers.
Wait, if I wasn't, because...
Yeah, I know, right? Maybe he's afraid that it's going to... Oh, right, because Kazuma said if we do get convicted, he's sold that law and order is not a real thing, and therefore he refuses to go, on the principle of, like, corrupt justice system. Kazuma, is there really no chance of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we'll finally be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryanosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find...
Yes!
Wait, Your Excellency. Ryanosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case just yet.
Objection!
The amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
This is blatant straw clutching. Look at the photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There could be no problem with this evidence. You better know what you're doing. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any information from this handbag.
It's gonna be the 10.
Yep.
I don't know how it's gonna be relevant, but it's gonna be the 10 too.
Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
You have one chance, one opportunity.
But be warned, if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look. You will identify for the court where in this print you see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Excuse me.
Yes!
Look at this, here. It's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist. Certainly that has nothing to do whatsoever with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark. You're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noted it when he was performing the post-mortem. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea where the victim suffered the burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow this at further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and other university staff.
Indeed.
She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this? To be honest, I'm not sure. But if I don't keep pushing, it's all over. Yes, you're right. Yep. If we can just link that burn to the case, we can do that. We might be able to prise this shuttling door back open. Shutting. Jesus Christ.
Good job.
Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue this, which is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn, but as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I have to find some link. This is the moment of truth. Time to find some evidence.
Is this like the third moment of truth within this one case so far?
So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. Is there... Yes, I can use it. That one. Boom. Right there, on the edge of the plate, is the burn mark. And doesn't that seem a little suspicious if she was the one eating it? Why would he have a burn mark on his wrist?
Okay, I genuinely just did not notice it.
No. Yes, Your Excellency. I believe the photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason?
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. Ah! The emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape.
For real?
This means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant. But even if that is the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. Could have been the day before that. Most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missing such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of this wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago, and although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense pointed out. This is no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim would have let out a scream of pain. I've been investigating at that restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter.
So now it's not valid because he has a different profession?
Yes!
There you have it, something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us, without any question, would have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream?
He was already dead.
Actually, I think that's the case.
Oh yeah. Can't scream if you're dead. Fun fact, kids.
Can it really be true? I never dreamt I'd arrive at a conclusion like this. I'm starting to think that we've been led to a terrible trap. The flashbang was not necessary. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question when he suffered the burn, he was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting... Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness.
Oh god, what's that movie about the taking that the dead person's still alive?
Oh, Weekend at Bernie's?
Yeah, it's the professor. It's the professor Weekend at Bernie's.
Order, please. Counsel, explain this notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered the burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. Thank you, Judge.
Get twisted.
I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you'll have to forget your luncheon engagement. But, Your Excellency, the justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours.
Oh, the person
Miss-
living in Japan
Miss
knows
Brett,
Japanese.
You speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after
Yeah,
all.
I don't know why we just expected
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible.
Screw you too, lady.
But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level. Oh, well... You are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you feel so graciously afford to us.
Simp.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I'll now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of Dr. Wilson. So we finally get to hear her words on the matter. Things are going to get interesting. Witness testimony. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report shows no other possible cause of death beside the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Wow, just make sure to keep on insulting us.
Yeah. The most captivating and beautiful testimony would go down in the Supreme Court's history,
Simp.
thank you. Easy does it.
Simp.
I hope that's the last time I'll have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. No, not at all. It's a delight merely hearing you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I'll be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks? Was that a prayer? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brent. I'm putting you up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much.
Still panicking.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, but this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Then you may proceed. Alright, we start with I have no idea what the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I put our glasses in a toast.
Poison.
Yes!
Look out for it.
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right? Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember, which explains why he ordered that drink, correct, waiter? Exactly as you say, sir. Although, whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. I have enough English to understand that at least. For our benefits to others in the court, it means bless you.
Ah, yes.
I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. Just gonna press everything. Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Yes. Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it could only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But that doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn such as that. And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidences prove that, this is a complete waste of time. I concur. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there's always a telltale trace in the body. Quite right, dear lady. And our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. Dog. Huh.
Investigation is, in fact, quite flawed.
If heaven forbid you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone exactly how you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it? Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Takatsuchi Aoshi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
Simp.
A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence. Yes. Lastly, but of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost.
Wait.
Maybe you should.
It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try and preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand. A killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still. What do you think? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up anything. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. Kazuma? What? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. It's about the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then.
Yes!
Inferior? Oh hey Jen, what's up? You're here for us to finish solving the murder.
Jen, I need you to vote. Jen,
True.
we have 3 different options. Look at the Discord, I need your vote. 3 different people have chosen 3 different things. And Alex chose one against something.
Yeah.
Jen, we need your vote.
Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts.
Got lost in the sauce, man.
Okay, let me go check.
Yeah.
It's time to pursue this
Three
man's
different
train
people,
of thought.
3 different options, and then Alex also voted against him.
Sorry, pursue. I'll explain how to do it now. It all has to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right, you can turn your attention to other people on the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with A. If you can catch the person at the right time, you might uncover some information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright, so first issue. Marker.
So you have to do this. Oh, so I should do this? Yes.
Wait.
What's the tell? Coughing.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
What's the meaning of this?
But very subtle tell.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. I just love the excuse me.
Excuse me.
It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? My vote is the pretty pack LMAO. I think that's a 4th different option.
Okay, we'll have to run the votes again, but now
What's the meaning of this?
Oh, God.
It's the delightful English woman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. Hmm? The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he is immediately intimately involved with the case. Inspector Hosanaga, yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? ... Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosanaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. You see, I'm preserving evidence. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay.
Yes, there's still some left in the bottle. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Flawless my ass, indeed. He is the most flawed police investigator. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Miss Brett. Can you confirm that this was indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question.
She has eyes. She's not just
She
a
hides
mask.
them behind the mask. It's what the mask is.
Shush. There's so many better things you can do with a mask, aka anything persona related. You chose that.
I know, because it was cringy.
Alex, I don't know how to break this to you. You don't have to be cringe, you can be nice.
So, there's some other way a man's life can be taken without... Bottle.
What cause?
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. We get Mexican sparkling water and it stays carbonated for upwards of a week. Jen, I would like to just remind you of the fact that they just invented photographs. I think our technology on carbonating water
Also,
is
come on.
slightly more.
That's
advanced.
Mexico. Japan has different sparkling water.
That's
practices.
true. That's true.
Gosh.
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank water from the bottle of carbonated water.
Good.
Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order. And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you! Jacques Hughes! This is outrageous, to suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile, have you ever considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed an accord of friendship with the British? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one's individual's guilt with respect to one crime.
Don't pull out the sword, dude.
What?
Don't pull out
The
the
fact
sword.
that this woman is British makes no difference. We're here to determine the truth. Ahem, if I may, I will silence you forever in this disgraceful attack on...
Thank you.
It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady!
No.
Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particularly point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation. I don't believe that. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find? I ordered a test for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We couldn't find any trace of poison. The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No.
I'll have two options. Toxic from outside this country, or is it the glass?
I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
Objection.
I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Your Honor, I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Well, that was a fun game.
Hold it!
Hi.
Who are you and why are you allowed in mid-trial?
Please wait. It's the professor's daughter. Please forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, judicial assistance to the defense. Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. She sucks. I can't tell if that was directed at Giselle Brett or if it was directed at...
Who do you remember that this is work on delay?
The new girl is adorable. Okay, it was aimed at Giselle. Yep, that's right, baby. We're on to part 3. Where did Giselle go? Well, I understand that you're the judicial assistant to the defense, but why the sudden ingress into my courtroom? A judicial assistant? And a woman, no less. The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. The trial's already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency, I'm most grateful. Who are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's lab in the medical facility and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh no, of course not. Special characterizations of the Curer and its effects on human subjects. Curer? What's that? Time's up. Prosecution demands immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on the note just inside the cover. You think it could be valuable? Please cast your eye over it. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Maybe don't look up poison.
Goodbye then, and good luck.
Don't research poison and then go poison someone. Does not look good.
Yeah, she's a dingus. So let's just see what this note says. Poison was made from a bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Affects instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry, the above-mentioned effects would occur when a poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted of a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have applications as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of full-body paralysis must be found first, or the patients would suffocate.
Lovely.
I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing to add, Your Excellency. We're out of options here. This really is our last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence.
You mean the nervous that just entered
That
through
look,
the door?
that unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, could you have perhaps grace us with your presence a little longer? It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I have to politely decline. Forgive me, Miss Brett. Perhaps I wasn't clear. I realize it's phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. See, he's being polite without being overly simpy. Ouchie is just, like, drinks Giselle Brett bathwater, etc. So, counsel, what is the new evidence that demands the court's attention?
I think I have several, chances, even though there's only one new thing.
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at UMA University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you getting this? A toxin known as Curer, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? Complete and utter nonsense. Why is she even here if she hates them so much? Because the rules of the witness compel you to stay.
This is a court of law.
This is, yeah, you don't exactly turn down an invitation to be a witness. It's called a subpoena for a reason. I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of the Curer before this one, for a very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. doesn't exist. Correct, which means no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they never identify Cure. Why? Because there is no test that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. Oh, I mean being in Japan. Oh, she just something researching with an English professor. I don't know.
Something studying deadly poisons. You know, like
Something. What better way to foster a hatred for a people than to be around them? Isn't that why Kanye West hangs out with so many? Wait.
Like I said, yes, that's why I do hate you.
That does explain a lot. Council, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, Cure has long been used by tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems it's reasonably well known among many European doctors and scientists. To lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by the arrows laced with Cure suffer instant death.
I mean, not quite what it says, but sure.
Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery. These aspersions are utter trumpery. To start with, if the victim had been administered some sort of so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain. The other diners would have surely noticed. True. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is the evidence that the cure was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment the toxin enters a person's system, it causes paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all their strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain. How terrible. Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse up to the floor. With a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. Poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control breathing to fail. How do they not realize that it's instant death? I don't know, man. In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. All the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move.
Oh, kind of like they do with lethal injection.
Yeah, exactly. That's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep, but for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That's the true nature of this deadly cure poison.
Is this a real thing?
Cure? I have no idea. You can look it up.
Alright, time to go do some Googling.
And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. If I may. All these facts, you think you're so clever, you must be taught. It is you who must be taught. Of course. My lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Afraid to look it up and get put on the FBI list.
So I did look it up, and it is true but exaggerated.
Okay.
In the fact that they actually use smaller doses for, like, medical uses, but in larger doses can cause respiratory failure.
Alright. Well,
So it is an actual thing. Central South America was used on arrows. They just exaggerate that only a little bit can instantly kill you. Well, no, you need a little more than a little bit to kill you.
still. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on an unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules.
What?
What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Pratt? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please?
She's gonna take a sip or something.
Yep. And then if she drinks it and doesn't instantly die...
If she does, Okay, bougie.
Don't get too big for your boots, you little insignificant island boys. Excuse me? To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games, these foolish court romantics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers! What are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair.
I mean, bold move. I respect it.
I mean, I admit that that's, like, meddling with evidence, but goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no cure error. Bottle was clean, is what you're saying. You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course, that's quite the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of the friendship between our countries. Ah, yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you've given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she?
But it wouldn't make sense for it to be in the bottle, because otherwise she would
How
have
did
died
she
as
swallow
well.
a whole glass and live to tell the tale?
Okay, why do we immediately go to the bottle if they both drank from the bottle? We are just idiots.
They cheersed out of that bottle, so that's the presumable. No, but do you know why she didn't die? They mentioned that the poison has to enter the system through a wound to be effective. She's clean. The professor had dental work. He had teeth extracted.
No, I went to the glass because, you know, why would one person be fine, the other one not be? I guess that, yeah.
Contains poison. The culprit did put cure air poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You serious? Fool, are you blind? There's no possible way that a bottle could contain poison. I mean, what we just saw. Miss Brett drinking water from it? That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How, exactly? Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how? That would be the medical report card.
Yes!
Seems the defense, or should I say, wretched accused. Oh shit. They wanted something else.
They want the actual thing that says that you need a wound, then you can show the other
Yeah,
thing.
probably.
Just showing, hey, dental records. What does that say about the bottle, Alex? What does it say? God, we're all dinguses in this.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
It's not a valid explanation. No? After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. The impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. We're not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You'll direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Oh god.
Keep going to the court records if you're forgetting.
Yes.
I think it's a special characteristic.
Yeah, special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this cure air poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to waste the heads of their arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please.
I don't get his point.
But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean that there would be traces of the poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because they'd be eating poison. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says, the poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When the cure enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew the cure has special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking the water without any danger to yourself. You, meddling little rapscallion.
Honk.
The goose is alive the whole time. Well, turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really?
Is that saying that? I don't know if that's saying.
Objection!
Oh, this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book, but I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. As even your brain has managed to deduce, cure is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric suckers. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? It's alive. The amount of shit piling up on the back of this hat, yeah. So this poison is completely harmless when drunk.
Why?
Then, yeah. Ah! Good gracious. That's basic science. Science even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? I also like how she's calling me a schoolboy, but she goes to the same school as me.
So wait, she knew that the professor had dental work?
Yes, because he explained as much, which is why he didn't eat the meal.
But it's just
And
like,
why they were taking it later than usual, because he had to have dental work done. Yes, this cure poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that.
Jesus, she really just honk.
Yunk. What is welling up inside me? Never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's almost intense, rage-like. More than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well that there's no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison, you're alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm not sure I need to remind you, you must provide evidence.
Take that!
It went from yes to take that. As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between these two diners. Fatal difference? The toxin effects of cure are only felt when the poison enters through an open wound. So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poison? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Yes, Jen caught on. His teeth.
His toothuses.
Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Ah, so that's it. You use that knowledge to orchestrate this.
So where'd the gun come in?
Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip.
Okay.
Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No.
Okay, what's the issue? We just proved that was the...
What is it? What just happened? It's the English woman. She just smashed that bottle. Into the Supreme Court, what a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of that water from the broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you, it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it.
You still gotta get, like, arrested.
How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump that bench and shout as much as you like, little boy, but I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we? If there really was poison in that bottle, or not. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution? Oh, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I assume, dear lady. That's right. And really, looking at this photograph, it's clear as day, isn't it? Yes, this would prove she's guilty, but everything has to have evidence. So, of course, the only person who could have shot him in the front is the little schoolboy.
Objection!
No, you killed the victim that day, using Cure. And then, in order to frame Ryanosuke no Hirohodo for the crime, you waited until he picked the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. You see, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say? And I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence. Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by a gunshot to the chest, delivered in cold blood by the accused for Ryanosuke Hirohodo. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now she's gonna get away with it? The way she destroyed the evidence was obscene. Yes, we've come this far, but now you're the only one who can finish it. What do you mean? We lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true, so if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend on. Well, yeah, that's true, but I didn't manage to notice that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. I love that she's speaking Japanese when she was pretending not to know any of the language earlier, and no one thought that was suspicious. Yeah, definitely not. Is Kazuma right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of this same scene in my head, could there be another clue? Of course there's a clue.
No, we just...
Actually, Kazuma, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I might have uncovered another clue. You always have something up your sleeve, don't you? Come on then, let's wipe the smug smile off that Englishwoman's face with some evidence. Alright, I can't wait.
Where could it be? It's the steak.
Yeah, the steak killed him.
Take that!
Inspector Hosonaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed.
I'm still thinking about a bottle being smashed and how she has to at least get some kind of penalty.
As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, right? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak that you took to the victim's table that day.
Objection!
Wait a minute. Where are you going to? She cuts him off to ask the same question. I love Giselle. It's just a memory's been troubling me. What memory? Well, I saw the scene shown in the photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw on the wooden base of the plate the steak was served on was a spattering of blood. What? Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at this photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way the bullet could have ended up directly behind him. Yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor as you were. Giselle Brett. I beg your pardon. This is beyond ridiculous. Fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused has apparently just remembered seeing? Osanaga? This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean? Yes, I took the plate. I took it meat and all, and I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you'd been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating.
The sergeant was.
And I did it all in the name of justice. Yes, the sergeant was eating a beef steak.
Oh, right, sergeant, not the professor. I forgot about the sergeant.
Yeah,
it's been a week.
Yesanosa.
Yes, and no.
The court wishes to examine the plate.
I'm glad they got Brett away from there.
There's no blood. The blood man, show the court. Of course, examine the plate at your leisure.
There's nothing.
Dead. I know I saw it.
Why would you keep Brett right next to this?
Unbecoming expression, little boy. You see, this is why you always can't trust what the Japanese tell you.
Racist.
I couldn't agree more. In the case of this, in the case of this disgrace to the Empire, I believe we may finally have reached a conclusion. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at a courtroom proceeding is painful to watch, but I do promise to do all my best to forget about it when it's over.
This is a gun.
This is a sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. Excuse me.
Sorry-looking steak doesn't look that bad.
If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Never stop believing.
Believe in you that believes in yourself.
Believe in myself, really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. Examine.
What?
Huh? What in the world is this? I think it's a Koban coin from the Hoei era. Remember that gold coin that was missing?
Why is it under the steak though?
Because it's not the professor's steak. He collected both the professor's and the sergeant's steak.
That doesn't explain why the coin's under a steak. How did it get there? I understand that's not.
I do love the pun. I've heard of pearls before swine, but never bull before bouillon.
Listen, this explains that this is not the person's plate. But still, why is there a coin underneath the steak?
Yeah. They are quite valuable. It's very well marinated in the juices as well. What, are you thinking of eating it? No. The next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's gonna be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this. Koban coin underneath the steak. There's only one logical explanation. There's another clue.
If the steak, there's a random coin that shows this the
The
wrong.
plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth. What's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak.
I mean, we are very fascinated.
Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial. I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we have to ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that all reasonable doubt has been dispelled. I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court what you are alluding to.
Steak.
Koban. Oh, okay. I was supposed to.
Yeah, because they always.
Well,
You've done this multiple times of just trying to present things before you're allowed to present things.
well, I was just inspecting them.
Got it!
Good gracious, that's Koban? What on earth? A Hawaii arrow one at that. I love how everybody identifies this historical coin. This is, in fact, the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant in the day in question, isn't it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question. How should I know? Never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what it is, but I want no part of it. That is one way to get extra iron in your diet. I mean, it's made of gold, and gold is lethal to a person if ingested, so fail to see how this is relevant. Could be a careless mistake by a chef in the moment.
It's a chef. Who is he doing?
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe this happened by accident in the kitchen. A rare Hawaii Koban just happens to be hidden beneath a piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right. Can't be a coincidence.
A coincidence?
I appreciate it. Yes, Counsel. A rare Hawaii Koban just happens to be hidden beneath that piece of steak. This turns out to be irrelevant to the case. I'll give up my lawyer job right now.
Objection!
Objection? By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here? The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing underneath the steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. It's old man Kirio Korakuda.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and the reunion of Rasutai Kirio Korakuda. Kiri, as in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. Ah, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying something that his Koban coin disappeared.
Underneath a steak.
At the moment the gun was fired. This Hawaii era Koban, do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
Imagine being this racist. No. Please, why would Korakuda-san's Koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and his plate? It makes no sense.
Exactly.
Which is why I'm asking to bring Korakuda-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer, bring both witnesses that testified back from here earlier. Without a moment's delay. It's simple. Clearly the military sergeant was trying to steal a priceless antique.
By hiding under beefsteak.
Yes. Look at all of the people in the witness box.
The ever-expanding witness box. How big is the witness box?
I like to think they just keep on adding more and more back in. Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Ido?
Hello.
I don't know, sir, you know? When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. When cast from this courtroom, myself, I became a ruined man in a trice. A worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this refugee shop owner's existence. Be that as it may, Korakuda-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Vashi... F's in chat for that man's foot.
You didn't really need that, right?
Yes, that's it, the one. The very exact one, that is. The resplendent, splendiferous Hoei treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day.
Underneath
It can't be. As I thought. Young man, enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where? Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, not sure it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate soaking in the seasoned meat's juices. F, indeed. Sandwiched. Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident. Which means... somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoei treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate? Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing. Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. I mentioned earlier on trial, but I was working undercover in order to investigate another case. Ah yes, that's right. A secret undercover operation. Le Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent in undercover. Yes, I took the job of a waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid the Koban is all too clear. It was the baby.
Ouchie.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Iyesenosa. What? How dare you monster. Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of Le Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me, it was Ido. Yeah, Ido is the master behind all this. You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby? It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa.
What is happening? I think his spine just snapped.
Yep. Nippon Imperial Army, Sergeant Iyesenosa, preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir.
Sure. Might as well.
Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages of the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep its country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. I've heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. Yeah, so there's one thing that the Ace Attorney franchise has, is that when you manage to break someone, and they basically confess to their crimes, they always have, like, a dramatic reaction.
I don't remember spine-shattering being one of those.
No, but there was one, infamous one, where the guy essentially claws his face out with his own hands. That was something. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant. The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days, I'd go there and do some reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was this old man in his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. Veritable phantom thief you are. Anyway, I was all set to leave the stake. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Bang! Megan's not here to do the bangs. When the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. I'd too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could on the double. I slipped it under the stake, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time? Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all. May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency.
Sick.
Huh, indeed. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good night, everyone. And good day. What's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh no, I'm just... Something about Miss Brett's parting words got me thinking. There was a contradiction somewhere in there. If that's the case, don't stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. You can think later. Call it out. It'll be too late. The trial will be over. Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like to explain the contradiction in your parting words there a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Shut up, yes.
What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryanosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness.
She hit the gun underneath the steak.
God damn it.
I figured it out. I mean, no, look for the cut underneath the steak.
The steak. Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency. The steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're just splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't that steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what, Counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could ever contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a fork and knife. Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman. Then take a good look at this steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined, quote, barbaric teeth marks here. Ah! It looks like Miss Brett has finally realized something. So, if the witness claims she couldn't contemplate eating anything without a fork and knife, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all. But, what is your actual point? Perhaps the delay... Oh, whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course. This will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic. Of course. Dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Do you know where you're going with this? Yep. I will accept these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that this tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. This is why we don't simp, exactly. Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. I love the witness just constantly interjecting. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of that phrase. Typical Japanese empty threats. How could you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been what? But just because it hasn't been shown yet doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't exist. This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you're saying there's evidence yet to be brought forward? It can't be. I don't believe you have that.
God, just shut up.
I don't, but there is someone who does. Someone in this very courtroom. And if this person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it'll solve every remaining mystery in this case. Very well. Who possesses it? Satoru Hosonaga. The answer is obvious. Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous.
Tell, he's lying.
I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on the steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following: I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. Just as well as admitting to stealing Korakuda-san's, he's told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Not for much longer, boy. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? 10 shub? Affirmative, of course. I may be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it.
That was very serious.
In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal. But that makes no sense. The plate was taken from the victim's table. Yes, the gentlewoman didn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have the opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain it? Exactly. Sure you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over?
The plate's not the steaks, but you know.
You did switch the plates? Well, after it happened, the, Bang!
Oh, I'm sorry.
When I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced that he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd been had. If he was to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'm not getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With the military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have it. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you, so yes, I did what I had to be done. Unbelievable. However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform. That's all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant knows to switch the plates over, it means that he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes. Earlier in the trial, you told the court this. You said that you had taken not only Miss Brett's steak, but also the sergeant's. To preserve evidence, you had taken both.
She's doing good.
That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What could that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat? You haven't the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of this time, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see the plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the site, there was a clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound. The defendant's memory serves him well. Now we have evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let's not prolong this any further. Inspector, he will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and the plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. And maybe move Giselle out of the way. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Blood. Here's the other steak in his plate. Please feel free to examine it.
Straight lines, blood. Okay, but you say you don't just cut straight across, but she cuts it like an angle?
Yeah. It's clearly visible, look.
Yes!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo to have shot the victim. Ah. It can't be. In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. That's right, Miss Giselle Brett. It's you! J'accuse!
Meltdown.
Even the goose is concerned. Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no.
Sure, might as well. Birds. Little borbs are cute. Sure. It's okay.
Trevor?
I mean, I love them and I'll adopt them. Oh, look at him.
What is even going on?
Exactly. And for whatever reason, I thought that interrogating an orca was the weirdest thing that was going to happen.
And this is just the first case.
Yeah.
Please excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure.
You drew the goose.
Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's about time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Yes, the goose gave birth to babies. I imagine that as they grow up, the hat will grow in. I don't know how it works. It's something about the English, I don't know. Gladly, Your Excellency.
You have to do another cross-examination. Oh my god.
It was I who took the professor's life, using cure air. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So you plan to kill the professor knowing that no no trace of the poison would be found in his water, because cure air is unheard of in Japan. Yes, of course. Never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of his water and it would be all over. I'd place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone, and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over and greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan on the spur of the moment. I planned to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on this innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of cure air in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt. Under your skirt? So I was right. There were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. A place where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I had intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun, even though at that point he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him, took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen, and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor in his chair around. Because, of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson when he'd picked up the gun.
So the waiter didn't realize that...
No, he's a fucking dingus.
Basically, all this relies on us all being dinguses.
There's probably lead in the drinking water, Trevor. That's the entirety of my misdemeanor.
Why did she... But why? Why
Your
did she do
Excellency? Yes? I wonder... Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san.
She's not good.
It would seem. This trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement? This can't be. Takatsuchi Aoshi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student. You better start getting used to tough opposition. Ryanosuke Naruhodo. Yes? This insult to the Aoshi family name will never be forgotten. You've become conceited with age, Council, but the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. Hey, Trevor.
Don't.
It's the way of the world. May you never forget that.
Don't do it. Why are you actually swinging that thing? Okay, that has to be a crime, right? That has to be...
1,000 millennia may pass, and still, the Aoshi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. And this is why we fight Winston Main at the first of every game. I will believe go down in history as the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. Literally murder someone and get off scot-free? Yeah, man. You're a foreign diplomat at this point.
Diplomatic immunity.
Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryanosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. Thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction. After all, it's only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world, but the Western idea of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits, but I'm not sure what it will look like, and I cannot begin to imagine. That's for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asobu. Yes. After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you're able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why'd you give off a great book? Ah, never mind. As for you, Ryanosuke Naruhodo. Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Okay, so is what's her face gonna magically appear again?
It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryanosuke Naruhodo.
I have many questions. Where is that? Where did that come from? Is that for every trial? Do you have to reset it or clean up after every single trial?
It's like New Year's Eve when the ball drops. This court is now adjourned. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe what happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryanosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congrats. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. No, it was a pleasure to watch you work. So you owe me an extra large sukiyaki from the place at Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon. All your hard work certainly paid off. Oh, it's Susato. Congratulations on both of you for proving Naruhodo-san's innocence. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know? Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much! If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how things would have turned out. The kind words should really be from my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah yes, of course. Speaking of Mikotoba, there you are. I believe congratulations are in order. Naruhodo, you did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it's I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikotoba studied overseas himself and went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson? Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Oh, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asogi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world in science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. His blade shows me where I need to go. And cuts down anything that's in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what's happened to the woman? To Giselle Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Ah yes, her.
So why did she kill the professor?
They didn't list a motive.
Just screw that guy.
It's not easy to tell you this, but what do you mean? She's surely gonna face trial herself now, right? She's the true culprit. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future for Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Giselle Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm certain of that. What? Why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga. It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate... But what's this about consular jurisdiction? We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's gonna bring her to justice? A British consular court will be hearing her case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. Why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we signed this friendship treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, then they can't invoke consular court like this. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid for the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all going to change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil, this new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. One day, I have no doubt, that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. Professor? You're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryanosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest the Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosanagi-san, aren't you?
Me both.
Let's not worry about the details for now. To Le Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course, Le Carnival's food is second to none.
How delicious beefsteak with coin.
I shall go attend to the paperwork for Naruhodo-san's release. Oh, yes, thank you. I love everybody just bowing and then disappearing from existence, so she won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson.
So...
Yes.
She commits a murder.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what happens here, because she will not be tried here.
Yes.
Then why even try and pretend that it wasn't us?
To get us killed.
But then she apologized for trying to get us killed, and that wasn't part of her plan.
I'm not so sure about that.
This game makes no sense. How does
To be
this
honest,
happen?
something kept occurring to me over and over again during the trial. I couldn't help but thinking maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. Come on, you can't be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you have a natural talent for being a defense lawyer. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat, I never want to go through that again. It's because she's white. I mean, you're not wrong. I did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryanosuke, do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law?
Friendship.
No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? Defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can really be backed into a corner, but being able to remain faithful to what you choose to believe in even then, well, that's not something anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stop believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and again, but you never stop looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it. Through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Sounds serious. What is... Ah, you're still here, are you? Thank you, Hosonaga. Thanks for interrupting. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Aren't rickshaws more of a Chinese thing? Am I dumb?
I don't know.
Let's not pick up this conversation again later. You should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory and your study tour in Great Britain, don't forget. Ah yes, that too. Damn. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but was still there.
You're not wrong.
And congratulations, we beat Ace Attorney Chronicles.
Wow. Now it's just time for all the rest of it.
Yep.
That'll be a next week thing, probably.
Oh, for sure. The adventure of the unbreakable speckled band.
Whoa, and now we're gonna go into things that you don't know.
Yep.
So there's 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, there's 5.
Okay.
And then I believe that there's 5 in the second one as well. But each one takes progressively longer to accomplish. So we'll probably just do the first of the Chronicles. Trevor's like, oh shit, what have I signed up for?
So it's gonna take longer for Hall of Persona 5 or Ace Attorney Chronicles.
It depends on how bad I am at this. So,
Objection!
probably
Objection.
substantially worse. I just love shouting objection. Alright.
I'm not saying just yet. Yes. Sorry.
Shut up! How many episodes are there? There's 5 in the first game, 5 in the second game, but each one takes longer and longer times because more and more twists and turns are thrown at you. And starting in the second trial, it isn't just walk into a courtroom, fight it out. It becomes an actual investigation where you have to like investigate crime scenes, find your own evidence because the law is weird. And then you go and present it in court, and then you reach a certain point where you essentially break the witness. Then you go back out, though, like adjourn court for the next day.
Snap their
then
spines.
Yeah, exactly. Then you go and find more evidence, go into court the next day, etc., etc. And this repeats 3 or 4 times on average in the end cases, but usually maybe once or twice during the first few.
Yeah, so the first one took 2 streams of 4 hours. And we have 4 more that are going to get progressively longer. And then there's technically a whole nother game, which we will see about. When we get to case 5, we'll see how we're feeling.
Yeah, these things are a bit of a time commitment, and I will admit that the first case in this one is definitely going to take the longest because they have to explain everything of like how it works to you. But once it actually gets into it, it's pretty intuitive. If a little Where's Waldo-y at times with the investigation. It's like, oh, did you spot this 5-pixel object hidden in the corner? That's important to the case, and if you don't find it, you can never advance.
Sick.
So, yeah.
Alright, that's the next week thing.
Yeah, that's a you problem.
That's a me problem.
Yeah.
What? Why?
I don't know. Because it is. Because you have to edit these.
Edit these? I just throw the full VOD unedited.
Okay, you have to upload these.
I don't pay attention to this stuff. I just slap it in.
Wow, way to say that your content is low effort.
My VODs are, because they are the VOD. They are unedited. My actual content, where I, make the 2 to 5 minute videos, yeah, I put actual effort into that. I write a script, I record. The VODs, I just press the upload button.
Bang supercut.
What?
Just every time a bang pops up.
Do you want a 5-second clip of just bang, 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 thank you, bang, 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 bang?
So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Bang, 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 bang. I joke, of course.
Anyway.
I'm gonna have to shame Megan. She missed 3 more bangs.
Anyway.
Good night.
Yep, I'll be back
Have
on Tuesday
fun.
with some more Persona. We've reached the stupidly overpowered section.
If you would like, I will change my vote on the Digimon dawned us since we've hit an impasse.
I was going to say, probably Wednesday I will remake it and just like, okay, here, drop it down to the 4 we voted for. You can't vote for your own. And see how that goes. Hey, here's the 4 of them. I know which ones each of you voted for. Don't vote for that same one. Which one do you vote?
I vote for the same one.
Well, we just ignore your vote.
Silencing my First Amendment rights.
Hey, if I say do this and you don't do that, is that silencing your First Amendment rights?
Yeah, it's basically Twitter. Or sorry, X.
No, we don't call it X here. It is Twitter. We dead name Twitter.
Bye, Jen. We will continue to dead name Twitter. Well, bye. Just stop stream, stop record.
Yeah.
Okay.
But-
Goodbye.